Previously on Thomas XL 200's Thuzy road trip.
8 parks, 10 days, 2,500 miles.
Blew a tire on the New Jersey Turnpike just trying to get home.
Number 200 on Ravine Flyer 3.
Some chud in the second or third row whips out their phone and starts recording themselves through the entire ride.
Hurricane Beryl slamming into Texas, making landfall just south of Houston.
The tropical storm is supposed to roll in about 3 or 4 p.m.
National Weather Service confirming earlier tonight that 2 tornadoes did touch down in West Louisville and southern Indiana.
A very familiar sight.
Kentucky Kingdom.
On the road again, I can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is riding coasties with my friends, and I can't.
Alright, made it to Kentucky Kingdom, and nature had a fun little surprise for me. A tropical storm as I visit the park with Lightning Run and Storm Chaser. Gonna get some sick pics. I'm very excited. The Storm Chaser's like framed right with the storm in the background. It's gonna be awesome. Everyone says that Storm Chaser is a savage ride. I got like one of the first trains of the day, and my God, yeah, that's crazy. It feels like Twisted Timbers on steroids, and it's not even warmed up yet, so like, I'm kind of terrified for what this is gonna be like when it's warmed up. Gone for another, obviously. How the hell do you get to any of these rides? Thunderbird? Not bad. I had like 2, 3 really good moments of like solid airtime. Like that airtime held at Kinks with like laterals is really good. It's pretty smooth. It's got some decent forces. And it does kind of die at the end, but I don't think it's better than Predator. Predator is like really good now. Like, I guess this is the second best end out of the 2 games I've heard. A little bummed to say this because this is one of my most anticipated credits of the trip, but I was a little bummed by Lightning Run. It just, I mean, it was very good. It didn't pack the punch that I was expecting from like what everyone has said, but maybe it just needs time to warm up. So I'm gonna ride again. We'll see how I feel. Why is Kentucky Flyer in the damn water park? I was prepared with this whole screed about how the Gravity Group family Woodies are overrated, but like, that was really good. Kentucky Flyer is great. Solid airtime, start to finish, great pacing, like what the hell? It's definitely better than Thunder Run. It might be one of the best coasters in the park, honestly. T3, my beloved. Cinnamon bread! Alright, so I've ended my time at Kentucky Kingdom with 2 more rides on Lightning Run and 3 more on Storm Chaser. My opinions haven't really changed. I think Lightning Run is definitely the weaker of the 2, and I'm still a little bit disappointed by it. It warmed up a bit in the afternoon, but it wasn't that much. Storm Chaser, meanwhile, is crazy. Ironically, I think the morning rides with an empty train somehow felt crazier, but this thing's so savage, it's brutal. Front and back. Like, hands down the best ride at the park. Overall, Kentucky Kingdom's fun. It's definitely a half-day park, and I don't regret spending any less time here. You know, there's like 4 adult coasters and a couple solid flats. Not really much else to it. And the layout is confusing as hell. Really weird, all these roads and the water park in the middle of the park. It's very weird, but I enjoyed it. Don't think I'm going to be coming back anytime really soon, but if you haven't been here before, you should definitely go. Basically just for Storm Chaser. It's a great ride and it's definitely worth it. The storm was due very soon, so I dipped from Kentucky Kingdom and headed into town, where I visited Peerless Distilling for a tour and tasting. This resulted in me buying the most expensive bottle of liquor I've ever purchased, but it was really good, so it was worth it. Soon after, a tornado touched down 15 minutes away from the city center, so I got holed up in a basement bar until the weather broke. The night shacked up in a literal shed that was my Airbnb was a fun one. To be straight up with you, my panicked East Coast ass was not having a good time, but I clung to the anticipation and excitement of what was awaiting me the next day. My first ever trip to the legendary Holiday World.
But before our trip to Holiday World begins, bad news. Bolstered by the success of the recent Six Flags Cedar Fair merger, corporate mastermind Celine Bassoul was once again found to be planning a hostile takeover of Holiday World. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to aid me in the dissemination of my damning espionage findings and ensure that Hollywood Nights remains in the capable hands of Santa Claus. Thank you.
Well, folks, it's kind of hard to believe, but here I am at Holiday World. Santa Claus, Indiana, the furthest distance I've gone since I've left my place in Philly. I've always had a bit of a fascination with this place because of this, like, VHS tape, and I know I'm dating myself there, but I used to watch all the time as a little kid, all about, like, really good roller coasters, and it had a big thing about this brand new coaster called the Raven that just appeared in this weird little town called Santa Claus, Indiana. Obviously, Holiday World has expanded a lot since then, and now it has probably one of the best wooden coasters in the world. I'm here to find out if that's actually true, because this is my first visit, so come along with me. Let's find out. Now, I had purposefully kept myself in the dark about Holiday World, well, as much as a thuzy who makes YouTube videos can possibly do. And this got me very excited for the park, as no matter which way things went, it would be a surprise. My only prejudices coming in were that the holiday theme was pretty chintzy, and enthusiasts who wouldn't shut up about the voyage were really annoying. That last part is definitely still true.
Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even. Brightly shone the moon that night, though the frost was cruel, when a poor man came in sight, gathering winter fuel.
Cross it off the bucket list. Got the voyage. After ride one, what are my thoughts? It was good. Honestly, I'm a little underwhelmed. My lawyers have informed me that certain enthusiasts may consider my previous statement to be an act of slander, so please note that any of the opinions expressed in this video are only legally binding in the state of Pennsylvania. It was a very long ride and relatively smooth, but like bumpy enough in some spots to give it some character. A lot of great floater airtime pretty much throughout. I think my favorite section, honestly, was like the middle section out in the woods when you're just like twisting and turning with great positives and lots of shaking. It's awesome, but it just didn't feel as hectic and chaotic as I was expecting, honestly. Like coming off of Ravine Flyer 2 a few days ago, like Ravine Flyer 2 felt way more out of control than this. Maybe it's just a little earlier in the day. It's like the early afternoon, but it's pretty warm out. I don't know. I was sitting in the second to back row. I'm going to try the front now and see what I think, if my opinions change. Alright, I tried the voyage in the front, and I think it was actually worse than the back. Definitely a back row ride, at least so far. I decided to move on to different rides, so I'm going to try Thunderbird now. So I just finished up with 3 rides on Thunderbird, and I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this thing. The launch is like a really good initial kick, and it's pretty solid afterwards. It pulls decent positives. The roll at the end is awesome hang time. It's just like a really fun ride. I will say it's definitely got a bit of that B&M rattle, especially out on the wing seats. Definitely have a bit of a headache now after 3 rides in a row, but that just might be because I've been on this coaster road trip for like almost a week at this point. So it's starting to catch up to me, but fun ride. Wait, why doesn't anyone talk about the Raven? I love the Raven. It's so fun. It's like this great little terrain coaster. It's like the Beast if it were half the length, but you traded the length for forces, because there are some legitimately great moments of airtime. First drop and the legendary 4th drop especially, like in the back. It's absolutely a back row ride. That little like turn over the water with the laterals like brings me back to when I was like 5 years old and I'd watch this like VHS tape, and I just had a bunch of shots of the Ravens turn over the water. It's so fun. It's so cool.
Hey, this is me from Post. Can somebody tell past me to shut up about the VHS tape already?
It's definitely not the best Woody in the park. I think the Legend and the Voyage are definitely better, but it might be my favorite. We'll see if that stays the same. Oh my god, the Legend is insane too. Like, that's a lateral machine. That's absolutely absurd. With some like strong pops of airtime like peppered in throughout. I had some disappointing rides on Twister at Knoebels this year, and this is like everything Twister wishes it would be. It's got more sustained laterals, more powerful laterals, better airtime. It's a little rougher. Like, don't ride in the back, ride in the second to back. But this ride's amazing too.
Well, now that the Raven and the Legend impressed me so much, I decided to make my way back to Thanksgiving Land and give the Voyage another shot. First, though, the ride crew had to clean up the puke from the previous riders. Maybe with a few hours of warm-up under its belt, it would finally live up to the hype.
Hold me now. It's tough for me to say I'm sorry. Well, I just want you to know. Hold me now. I really want to tell you I'm sorry.
I would like to submit an apology letter for my previous statements about the Voyage. After 2 more rides in the back later in the day, this thing is a masterpiece. It has incredible pacing, amazing airtime, it's nonstop, so long. I hate to say it, I really do. So tired, so many annoying enthusiasts won't shut up about the Voyage, but they got a point. They got a point. It's a great ride. Top 10 worthy? Not sure about that yet, but I'll think about it a little bit.
Now let's go get that gravy.
Snoopy clears. I'll be honest, I'm a little ashamed at how much I'm liking Holiday World. I really came in expecting this park to feel cheap and chintzy, stupid theme, but it's really charming.
You like Holiday World, don't you, Thomas?
Like the free drinks and the free sunscreen are really nice too, especially on a hot day like this, and the ride lineup's just insane. Like, I'm not a huge Woody guy, but all 3 of the Woodies are masterful. The Voyage lived up to the hype, mostly. The Legend is absolutely insane. The Raven's really fun, absolutely slept on. Thunderbird is fun, too. It's just... it's a great place. You gotta come here. You gotta add it to the trip. It's not a half-day park. I was gonna leave here early. Stay here the whole day. Just keep getting re-rides and everything, because it's all amazing. Well, at 6 o'clock, the water park closed, and the main park got really crowded all of a sudden, which sucks because I've been walking into everything all day, but still enough to get one more ride on the Voyage, one more on Legend, and heading over to the Raven now, probably to get one more ride. The one train ops really sucks with all these people, but overall, like, every single ride on these coasters has been absolutely incredible. Like, they've only gotten better as the day goes on. I love Holiday World. And I'm gonna have to come back. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's worth it. It's worth it because these coasters are just that good. I'll let you know where they fall in my rankings soon because probably a couple of them are gonna be in my top 25. Anyways, see you next time.
The sheer physical toll of the trip was really beginning to catch up to me, so despite my strong desire to grab a Voyage Sunset ride, I called it in early that night and headed back into Louisville to get some well-needed rest in my cheap but comfortable enough Airbnb. Laying on the couch in the Airbnb, I could finally take a bit of the weight of the trip off of me. I had finally reached the easternmost apex of the trip. From here on out, my car was pointed home, at least in the right direction of home.
What the hell is this place? Stricker's Grove. 100 years. That was totally planned. Oh yeah, so here I am at Stricker's Grove. Happened to be one of the few days that happens to be open to the public, so I figured I'd stop here and get the credits to stunt on it. Jackrabbits Double Down, Phoenix's finale, all pale in comparison to the Death Hill on Tornado at Stricker's Grove. I really had no expectations going in, so when I hopped on Tornado and experienced the craziest airtime I've ever felt in my life, I was surprised. Then I rode it in the back row, and this Death Hill is crazy. This Death Hill is the greatest airtime I've ever felt. It's like you're being punched in the nuts, like drop kicked in the nuts, and it's masterful. The rest of the ride's kind of boring. It doesn't even matter.
Oh yeah, we rode the teddy bear too. It just felt like a standard Woodstock Express clone. Cute ride.
I'm serious. It's like half an hour later, I'm still raving about this Death Hill. You need to come to Stricker's Grove just for that Death Hill. It is absolutely absurd. Elite. So good. Come to Stricker's Grove.
After leaving Stricker's Grove, I and the small group of friends who had joined me at the park had plenty of time to return to Kings Island and close out the night, which allowed me to get a nighttime Beast Redemption ride. This time we sat up way in the front of the train out of an abundance of caution, ensuring that the ride would not be ruined for me like it was last time. And that made for the perfect pitch black setting, but in the trade-off we lost a good amount of forces. Oh well. You win some, you lose some. It was still a lot of fun. This was the only night of the entire trip I'd be staying in a hotel. After realizing I forgot to book lodging for the day, I gave in to my aching bones and grabbed a room at the True Hilton in Mason, Ohio, right next to the park. A good bed and a nice shower were very welcome tonics for my battered body. I slept in that night and I had no qualms doing so, even if that did stop me from getting to my next day's destination quite as quickly. only one park remained on my itinerary. After 3.5 more hours of driving, including a long stretch through the backwoods of Ohio, I reached my terminal destination, Cedar Point, the self-proclaimed coaster capital of the world and the home of my favorite roller coaster, the namesake of this channel, Magnum XL 200.
Baby!
We had people hitting the station before we were even fully in the queue.
Magnum actually broke down a ton the whole weekend. I got way less rides than I wanted to, if I'm being honest. In fact, a lot of the rides were going down throughout the blisteringly hot weekend.
Can you believe this? I came all the way here and Top Thrill 2 isn't opening?
Maverick was closed all of Friday and Saturday as the ride crew frantically tried and failed to get the problematic Intamin going. If only some people were a little bit better at their jobs. But while it was great to be reunited with my baby and the channel's namesake, I soon gathered with over 100 other enthusiasts for the real highlight of the Cedar Point leg, a multi-hour-long booze cruise traveling Lake Erie, giving us spectacular sights of the park from a truly unique angle. These sights were almost matched by the sheer fun that was the cruise itself, riding around on a giant boat, slamming down brewskis. Big fan. Our return to the shore coincided with the sunset, so we hopped back into the park for some awesome night rides in Valraven.
Look, you can see me right there on the train.
Millie and Steve. The Millie ride was a tad bit slow, but Steve was hauling absolute ass, even though I was stuck in the middle of the train.
The next day.
Still love this thing after all these years. Got a really solid night ride on Friday, and it was a fun time. Gonna try a morning ride, which usually sucks, but the vibe is immaculate, so. Somehow that early morning ride on Millie was faster than my Friday night ride, which meant it was actually pretty good. Strong air time. I'm very dehydrated, so that first pull out was pretty brutal. We're gonna try to get Maverick if it actually opens.
Maverick was still very much down.
Really, this is the most anticipated attraction in 2024. What do you mean it's not opening? Like, come on, what the hell, Cedar Point? Get it together, God.
As morning turned to Saturday afternoon, I, along with the only other person who may be more obsessed with Magnum than I am, my friend Laurel, led a 100-person strong Magnum meetup, which had me feeling more powerful than I ever have in my goddamn life. It started to become hot as balls as the afternoon beat on, and I was very fatigued from the rest of my trip, so I spent a decent portion of this afternoon relaxing at our lakeside cabin. But I did get some front park rides in. Gatekeeper was solid fun as usual. I was reunited, perhaps not willingly, with my old friend Corkscrew, and I finally got to ride the Wild Mouse, which was fine. Speaking of the Wild Mouse, the cabin where we were staying had been designated the Wild Mouse Cabin for Saturday night's activity. A themed cabin crawl that is exactly what you think it is. It was a time. I tried Malort.
Oh,
no! Y'all decorated.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my
Jen's
God.
face was
Great aftertaste.
IDK, I liked it. Properly sauced up, we returned to the park at nighttime and Laurel and I were gunning from a Magnum closeout. Unfortunately for us, it was broken down again. We waited undeterred for at least an hour, but things were not looking promising. They did open up the station and run a few cycles, but it broke down yet again before we were able to get on. About half an hour before it closed, the ops were planning on throwing in the towel. But Laurel and I were determined, fanatical, passionate, and a little bit turnt. It definitely helped that Laurel also knew all of the ride ops. Unfazed by their decrees of hopelessness, we parked our asses in the station and counted down the minutes to close, hoping to Ron that our dreams would come true and that Magnum would finally open for one last glory ride.
And here we are at Cedar Point, the coaster capital of the world, the end of the trip. And I've ended this trip on a pretty wild weekend with the Buzz Bars event. We had over 100 people at the park. from Friday through Saturday till this morning. It's Sunday morning to get some last rides in before I drive 7 hours home. Yeah, yesterday was my battle with Magnum. Magnum kept breaking down and I kept struggling with it, but I did end the night after waiting for like an hour with a front row black train, totally pitch black, trimless night ride, and it was like only me and Laurel on the train. You know, Laurel, the other Magnum person. It was probably one of the most magical coaster experiences of my life, so that was fun. That was special.
A few details about that night ride that I neglected to mention. Laurel, being the Magnum devotee that she is, and also a person who lives close to Cedar Point, has tracked the seat and train on every single Magnum ride she has taken this year. Our night ride was caused for a very special occasion. Laurel had hit every single seat on every train. Well, except for one. Black train, first row, right side. Guess where we were sitting as the op sent us out. Also, our tipsy asses undiplomatically begged the outs before boarding for a trimless ride. The op responded to our plea with the most beautiful phrase to ever touch my ears in the Magnum station. Don't you know, I have to run it trimless.
So this morning we're gonna try to get Millie, we're gonna try to get Maverick, which I've not been on yet because it's been down most of the weekend, and then I'm gonna try to finish up on Magnum and head home.
Oh look, Maverick just opened.
I hope this is me. It's all you. Taking a selfie, that'd be really embarrassing.
Maverick actually had a pretty short wait, and I'm so glad I got on before I left. It's running like crazy as usual. Great ride. Sadly, this crazy road trip is coming to an end. I don't know how sad it actually is. I'm exhausted and I'm ready to sleep in my own bed for the first time in over a week. But overall, I have no regrets. It was really fun. A lot of new credits. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it going in, but I think overall it's been a pretty big success. Went to a lot of cool new parks, picked up a lot of cool credits, and got to spend some time at some of my favorite parks like Kings Island, Kennywood, and Cedar Point. So this morning we got a ride on Millie, we got a ride on Maverick. We'll do one more ride on my baby, and then we're gonna start heading home. Hopefully that won't be too painful. But I'm gonna miss Cedar Point as I always do.
I don't wanna close my eyes. I don't wanna fall asleep 'cause I miss you, baby. And I don't wanna miss a thing.
And that's it. My single last ride on Magnum turned into 3. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because obviously I love this ride with all my heart, all my soul. And I'm gonna give it a nice big hug as we head out. I'm gonna miss you, baby. What a trip. Fun trip. Stay tuned for further adventures. If you enjoyed this whole crazy trip experience, please like the video, please comment on the video, helps with engagement, and subscribe to the channel, and then maybe have more incentive to do more trips like this in the future, provide more future road trip updates. There's gonna be a lot of videos from these trips. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and keep riding Magnum.